Respect is a cornerstone of meaningful relationships. But what happens when someone refuses to give you the respect you deserve? Whether it's a dismissive comment, being ignored, or outright rudeness, dealing with disrespect can feel infuriating and disheartening. And as we age, protecting our peace and dignity becomes even more important. But here's the truth: you don't have to tolerate disrespect, nor do you have to lower yourself to the level of those who dish it out. There are smart, effective ways to handle this behavior while maintaining your self-respect. And today, we're sharing 6 powerful ways to respond to people who don't respect you. Whether it's family, friends, or strangers, these tips will help you navigate disrespect with wisdom and grace. Let's dive in, starting with the first way: establishing firm boundaries. Way 1. Establish firm boundaries. One of the most impactful ways to handle disrespect is by setting clear and firm boundaries. Boundaries are your way of telling others what is acceptable and what isn't. They're not about pushing people away, but about creating a framework that protects your dignity, self-respect, and emotional well-being. Especially in later years, when peace and personal values become even more significant, boundaries act as a shield against negativity and disrespectful behavior. Let's take a common scenario. Someone repeatedly makes dismissive comments about your opinions or interrupts you during conversations. Without boundaries, this behavior can persist, leaving you frustrated and disrespected. However, with boundaries in place, you can calmly but firmly address the situation by saying something like, "I value respectful conversations, and I'd appreciate it if we could take turns speaking." This not only highlights their behavior, but also sets a clear expectation moving forward. Boundaries don't have to be loud or confrontational. They can be simple yet firm statements that reinforce your values. For instance, "I don't appreciate being spoken to in that tone. If it continues, I'll have to step away from this conversation." I'd like to keep our discussions respectful. If we can't do that, I'd prefer not to engage further. In addition to verbal boundaries, there are also practical ones. For example, if someone consistently disrespects your time, like showing up late or failing to follow through on commitments, you can address it by saying, "I need to know that my time is respected, so if this happens again, I'll need to rethink our plans." Another critical aspect of boundaries is managing access. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, you're not obligated to maintain the same level of interaction. You can limit how often you see them, reduce how much you share with them, or even decide to disengage altogether if the relationship becomes toxic. Remember, protecting your peace is your right. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself, but over time it becomes a powerful tool for maintaining respect in your relationships. The key is consistency. If you allow someone to cross a boundary once, they may assume it's acceptable to do so again. By consistently enforcing your boundaries, you send a strong message: "I value myself, and I won't tolerate disrespect." It's also important to recognize that not everyone will respond positively to your boundaries. Some may push back or test them, but this isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their unwillingness to respect others. Stay firm, and don't let their reaction deter you from protecting your peace. Elders often say, boundaries aren't walls to keep people out, they're doors to let the right people in. When you establish firm boundaries, you create a space where respect and understanding thrive. You're teaching others how to treat you, and in doing so, you're standing up for your own worth in a dignified and meaningful way. Way 2. Respond with silence and strength. Silence is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness, but in reality, it can be one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect. When faced with rude or dismissive behavior, choosing to remain silent sends a clear message. You're not willing to engage in negativity. It's a way of asserting control over the situation without lowering yourself to the same level as the person being disrespectful. Think about it. Disrespectful people often thrive on reaction. They want to provoke you, get under your skin, or assert dominance in the conversation. When you respond with silence, you deny them that satisfaction. Instead of fueling their behavior, your silence leaves them to deal with their own actions, often making them feel uncomfortable or reconsider their approach. Silence doesn't mean ignoring the behavior or letting it slide. It means choosing not to engage in a way that escalates the situation. For example, if someone makes a cutting remark or speaks to you in a condescending tone, you don't need to argue or defend yourself. Simply pausing, maintaining a calm expression, and not responding immediately can be far more effective than retaliating with words. Your silence speaks volumes. It shows that you're above the pettiness and that their words hold no power over you. Here's where strength comes in. Silence is only impactful when paired with confident body language. Maintain eye contact. Stand or sit upright, and keep your expression neutral or composed. This combination of silence and strength conveys dignity and self-respect, even without saying a word. It's the kind of response that makes people think twice about their behavior. Silence can also be used as a boundary. If someone continues to disrespect you, despite your efforts to communicate, silence can signal that the conversation is over. Walking away without explanation or refusing to engage further demonstrates that you won't waste your time or energy on someone who refuses to show you respect. But responding with silence doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or avoiding the situation entirely. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Save your energy for discussions that are productive and respectful. When someone truly values you, they'll recognize your silence as an opportunity to reflect on their actions and seek a healthier way to communicate. Elders often remind us silence can be louder than words. By responding with silence and strength, you assert your dignity and make it clear that disrespect has no place in your life. It's a powerful tool that not only protects your peace, but also teaches others the value of thoughtful, respectful communication. Way 3. Limit contact with disrespectful people. Sometimes, the best way to handle people who don't respect you is to limit how much access they have to your life. Not every relationship is worth salvaging, and it's okay to prioritize your peace and well-being over maintaining connections that drain you emotionally. Distancing yourself from disrespectful people isn't about holding grudges. It's about protecting your mental and emotional health. Disrespectful behavior, especially when repeated, can take a toll on your self-esteem and inner peace, whether it's a family member who dismisses your thoughts, a friend who constantly belittles you, or an acquaintance who speaks to you rudely. Continuing to engage with such people often feels like fighting an uphill battle. Over time, you may realize that the energy spent trying to change their behavior isn't worth the cost to your happiness. Limiting contact doesn't always mean cutting people out of your life entirely. It can be as simple as reducing the frequency of interactions or choosing to engage only in neutral or less personal settings. For example, if a relative makes family gatherings uncomfortable, you might decide to attend fewer events or stay for a shorter duration. If a friend consistently disrespects you, you could politely decline invitations and focus on nurturing other friendships. In professional settings, you can minimize unnecessary interactions by keeping conversations strictly work-related and concise. In some cases, you might decide that walking away from a relationship entirely is the healthiest option. This can be particularly true if the disrespect is persistent, toxic, or emotionally harmful. Letting go of these relationships isn't a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of self-respect. Creating boundaries around disrespectful people also sends a strong message. You won't tolerate behavior that undermines your worth. This can sometimes encourage others to reflect on their actions and change, but even if it doesn't, you've made the choice to prioritize your own peace. Limiting contact is about reclaiming your time and energy for the people and activities that truly matter. Instead of spending emotional resources on someone who doesn't respect you, you can invest that energy into relationships that uplift and support you. Elders often share the wisdom, not everyone deserves a seat at your table. By limiting contact with those who don't treat you with the respect you deserve, you create space for positivity, growth, and relationships that bring you joy. It's a decision that empowers you to focus on living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Way 4. Call out disrespect directly, but calmly. Sometimes the most effective way to address disrespect is to confront it head-on, but in a calm and composed manner. Calling out someone's behavior directly, yet respectfully, shows that you're aware of their actions and unwilling to let them go unchecked. This approach not only sets boundaries but also demonstrates self-respect and confidence. When calling out disrespect, it's important to focus on the behavior, not the person. For example, instead of saying, "You're so rude," you could say, "I felt disrespected when you interrupted me just now." This approach highlights the issue without putting the other person on the defensive, making it more likely that they'll listen and reflect on their actions. Here's how to handle it effectively. 1. Stay calm. Take a moment to gather your thoughts before responding. A calm demeanor conveys strength and control, while an emotional reaction may escalate the situation. 2. Be specific. Clearly state what behavior was disrespectful and how it made you feel. For instance, "When you dismissed my opinion earlier, it felt like my thoughts weren't valued." 3. Set expectations. Let them know what kind of behavior you expect moving forward. For example, "I'd appreciate it if we could speak to each other with mutual respect." 4. Keep it brief. Address the issue without lingering on it. The goal is to make your point and move on, not to dwell or argue. Calling out disrespect directly can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself. However, it's a necessary step in creating healthy boundaries and ensuring that others know their behavior has consequences. Many times people aren't even aware of how their actions come across, and a calm, direct conversation can be an eye-opener for them. It's also worth noting that not everyone will respond positively to being called out. Some may react defensively or try to justify their behavior. If this happens, stay firm in your stance and avoid getting drawn into unnecessary arguments. Remember, your goal is to assert your boundaries, not to change their mindset. Calling out disrespect isn't about confrontation, it's about self-respect. When you calmly stand up for yourself, you send a powerful message. I value myself, and I won't tolerate behavior that undermines that. Even if the other person doesn't change, you've taken a step toward protecting your peace and dignity. Elders often say, respect begins with you. By addressing disrespect directly and calmly, you set the standard for how you expect to be treated, paving the way for healthier, more respectful interactions. Way 5. Focus on self-respect over approval. When dealing with disrespect, one of the most empowering shifts you can make is to prioritize self-respect over seeking approval from others. This doesn't mean you don't care about relationships. It means you value your dignity and well-being above trying to win someone's favor or change their opinion of you. Many times, disrespectful people rely on their targets seeking validation. They may use criticism, dismissive behavior, or even manipulation to keep you striving for their approval. However, when you stop seeking their validation and focus on respecting yourself, you take away their power. Your sense of worth becomes rooted in who you are, not in how others treat you. Self-respect is about recognizing your intrinsic value and refusing to let anyone diminish it. It starts with acknowledging your strengths, achievements, and the wisdom you've gained over the years. When you respect yourself, you're less likely to tolerate behavior that undermines your worth. For example, if someone interrupts or dismisses your ideas in a conversation, you can confidently say, "I'd like to finish my thought before we move on," instead of brushing it off or feeling invalidated. Focusing on self-respect also means setting healthy emotional boundaries. Disrespectful people may try to provoke you or make you feel inferior, but when you prioritize your self-worth, their behavior no longer has the same impact. You learn to walk away from toxic interactions without guilt, knowing that protecting your peace is more important than seeking their acceptance. One way to reinforce self-respect is by surrounding yourself with people who genuinely value and appreciate you. Spend time with friends, family, or colleagues who treat you with kindness and uplift your spirit. Their positive influence will make it easier to distance yourself from disrespectful individuals and remind you of the respect you truly deserve. Another aspect of self-respect is affirming your own decisions and choices. Whether it's how you spend your time, the people you allow into your life, or the values you uphold, being confident in your path eliminates the need for external validation. When you respect yourself, you naturally command respect from others. Elders often share this piece of wisdom. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. By focusing on self-respect over approval, you set a powerful example, showing that your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. This shift not only protects your peace, but also fosters relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. Way 6. Build a circle of respectful connections. One of the most impactful ways to handle disrespect is by intentionally surrounding yourself with people who value and respect you. Building a circle of respectful connections creates an environment where your worth is acknowledged, your voice is heard, and your presence is appreciated. It's about cultivating relationships that uplift you rather than drain or diminish you. When you prioritize respectful connections, you're choosing quality over quantity. It's not about having a large social circle, but about nurturing meaningful relationships with those who truly understand and care for you. These individuals will celebrate your achievements, offer support during challenging times, and treat you with kindness and consideration. Start by identifying the people in your life who bring positivity and respect. These might be friends, family members, neighbors, or even new acquaintances who share similar values. Spend more time with these individuals, engage in meaningful conversations, and strengthen these bonds. Over time, you'll find that these relationships enrich your life and make it easier to let go of those who don't respect you. It's equally important to evaluate and, if necessary, distance yourself from toxic or disrespectful relationships. If someone consistently undermines your self-esteem, dismisses your feelings, or fails to show basic courtesy, it might be time to reduce their presence in your life. Protecting your peace means recognizing when a relationship is no longer healthy and choosing to move on. Building a circle of respectful connections also involves being a source of respect and positivity yourself. Treat others the way you wish to be treated, listen actively, show empathy, and offer encouragement. When you